No one wants war. And they're saying, well, then the question then begs, why do we have war if no one wants war? Clearly, some must want war. For what? To win something? Regardless of what you will win, you will always lose something in the process. Is the loss worth it? Or is the cost too high? The human construct is hard to break, and we don't want to break the entire human construct, only the one that's limiting. So, are you a star child? Pretty much yes. What does that mean? Well, you have connection to stars. You are a star being and have connection to other stars, which means you can communicate with these other star systems. And I feel that's what's happening right now. Okay. And that can be overwhelming for some of you. Okay. You want to make sure that your body is well conditioned. What do I mean by that? Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If I am new to you, if you are new here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me your time so that I can help and assist you in this powerful process that you are going through, that the whole planet Earth is going through, transformation. So you are likely in throes of your own transformation, as everyone is in their own way, and so is planet Earth. So my intention as Joanna with my team is to help and assist you with your process. I would love for you to click the like button if you like these messages, if you like the content. Subscribe, comment. This helps tells the algorithm of YouTube that this video is worthwhile watching. And we put a lot of effort into bringing this information forth. And without people like you, there would be no need for me to bring this information. We believe that we bring important information for humans essentially to free themselves. So thank you so much for doing that if you so choose, and share it with a friend or two. So I hope you have a wonderful journey, and this information is going to be helpful to you. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Again, thank you for helping me assist you, because that is what I am seeing you are experiencing from these transmissions. You are being assisted in your own way, or you are taking this information that is assisting you in your own process, and that's ultimately my goal. So thank you so much for being here and for being part of this little Joanna community. It takes courage to be where you are right now, not only in this process, but also on planet Earth. So we're all courageous souls, apparently, according to my source. We're all courageous souls, having chosen to come into this planet in order to essentially raise this planet's vibration. And that is not an easy thing, as you probably already know. So as we are going through our own individual ascensions, planet Earth is going through her ascension as well. And my job as Joanna, and I'm assisting you with the same job, is to bring in higher frequencies. I want to say the word light codes, and impress them upon you so that you can then impress that into this physical world. To say it in plain English, you and I are here to help anchor higher vibrational light into planet Earth. That's why you are conscious of your process. That's why you are choosing to be in this process of enlightenment, so that you can essentially anchor higher frequencies using your physical bodies into planet Earth core. I haven't had it explained to me quite this way before, so this is interesting. So you and I are part of this, I want to say the word spiritual community that's essentially here to help planet Earth. And as we are going through this process of helping planet Earth, we are we are choosing to have our own experiences. So we are going through our own challenges. And yes, I said the word choosing, although it is often not the kind of choosing that we would like to think. We're not choosing to have challenges for a lot of the time, not on a conscious level, as a soul. So your soul, my soul, is choosing to have this experience, and part of this experience is to enrich the vibration of planet Earth. So you have a very important job to do, and that is not to be minimized. So again, I want to say that it takes a courageous soul to come into planet Earth, forget who they are, in order to try to live their best experience. And when we come down here to planet Earth, by the way, they're saying there's no coming, you're not taking the stairs to come to planet Earth. Where you are from is here right now. It's just that you cannot perceive it. So although you are perceiving the 3D planet Earth, you are also in an experience with other realms, but you're not able to experience that consciously because you're not conscious of having this experience. So you are a multidimensional being, and therefore you exist on many dimensions all at once. And as I, Joanna, am saying this to you, my left brain is going, what? Although I do believe in this parallel existence, the way it's being shown to me, it's like, okay, that makes so much sense. Of course we exist in more ways than one, because we're all vibration. Our vibration never ends. It's everywhere. It's spread out throughout the universe. Well, that's why I guess they say we are part of the universe, and the universe is part of who we are. But we forget that when we come down the chimney into planet Earth. We forget that we are an extension of the universe, which essentially means the universe contains everything within it. You and I, as an extension of this universe, contain everything within ourselves. Anything we could possibly imagine. No, our human brain doesn't know that. In fact, for the most part, it doesn't believe that. But the funny thing is, and you already know about this, what you believe is how you will experience life. So if we don't believe that there is other dimensions out there that we can actually tap into, then we're never going to tap into them. And all these other dimensions, can I say the words higher dimensions or higher perspective dimensions? These higher perspective dimensions, I want to say the word dimensionalities, have a lot to offer to us. These dimensionalities hold within them an expression of higher consciousness, which means if we can tap into, no, pardon me, it's not if we can, yes we can. If we desire or choose to tap into these dimensions, then we can bring about a lot of higher frequency vibration and information into our own individual lives. But in order for that to happen, the human mind has to change its concept of what it believes is real or not real. Right now, for the most part, most people believe that as long as they can perceive something that is real to them, well, there is other realities beyond your perception. Just because you cannot perceive them does not mean that they don't exist. In fact, of course they do. You exist within them. You just have no perception of that because you are an embodied human being with a very limited consciousness and memory of who you really are. So we are in very interesting times in beginning to very, very, very slowly realize this as our newfound truth. We are beginning to realize that there is more out there than what we have been taught, told, or told to think. That there is entire universe ready to be explored and experienced beyond that which we think is real, or but that which we were told is real or is not real. They're showing me thought frequency, and I don't know how to explain how I see it, but they're showing me that we humans have a tendency to want to go back, to want to go home meaning higher frequencies, but we are bound to this planet Earth. So sometimes, as much as we want to reach and experience those higher frequencies, it's like we are conditioned to think that we can't. And this is a very deeply woven within human DNA. In other words, we hold a vibrational truth within our DNA as humanity to question that which always is, which is Source itself. It's like the human DNA has been, I want to say the word, tempered with and tuned down, if you will, as a dial, in order to reduce the level of memory of who we really are and what we can do by knowing ourselves. That dial has been turned down. And right now, what's happening is these higher frequencies that are entering our human dimension, 3D world, are activating our stored DNA. It's as if this higher frequency of ascension is anchoring light codes, I'm going to use that analogy, in order to reactivate parts of our DNA that has this stored information within it. And that part of our DNA has been, I want to say the word, switched off. So we could say that in many ways, we are beginning to be switched back on. And that essentially means recovery of our old memory. We are essentially in the process of remembering who we really are. And from what I can tell as Joanna, that is a very painful experience. Why is it painful? Because it is a massive shock to the ego. And the ego fears most its own death. This level of remembering literally rewires our, I want to say, networks in the brain. I, as Joanna, don't know if it's true. I'm just channeling this information. I'm just here and keep going. Okay. This rewiring, if you will, opens us up to more of who we really are, and therefore for the ability to live out more of our potential. Here's the thing. In order to live out more of our potential, we have to let go of whatever has been holding us back from being our fullest potential. It's called beliefs. It's called conditioning. Okay? It's as if certain parts of our quote-unquote brain have to die, and this is not a physical death, it's metaphorical death, in order to reestablish new relationship with those parts of ourselves that we have forgotten about. And they're showing me the image of the idea of ego death. Essentially, what we are going through is parts of our ego are dying. Okay? Essentially, ego dying means transformation of the ego, shift of awareness. So many humans right now are going through what's called an ego death. By being reactivated to this old truth, they are deactivating our stored memories, or their stored memories that kept them stuck in limitations and limited world. Now, whatever it is that is quote-unquote dying or transforming is something that we have relied on for thousands upon thousands of years. So this is a massive transformation. It's not a small thing. And the reason why we're saying it's not a small thing, because A, it requires courage, which you know you already have, because in order for you to have a human experience, you have to be a courageous soul. So pat yourself on the back. But beyond that, when we are shifting in terms of what we feel, how we believe, and what we think, we are essentially transforming our own vibration. And we are all vibrational beings. We walk around and we are vibration. We don't think about it because it feels or looks solid. But you and I are vibration. Everything is vibration. So as part of the humanity's old concepts dying, if you will, or transforming, we were shifting to quote unquote higher light. We are essentially becoming more or lighter human beings. And that takes a lot of energy, apparently. Okay? Therefore, having said that, you might be feeling very, very tired. And this can be the kind of prolonged tiredness where you're like, what's wrong with me? Why am I always so tired? Well, you're tired because your body is working overtime, and not just your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, in order to accommodate or to acclimatize itself to this new higher frequency. And it can be a bumpy road. In other words, your body, simply put, is not used to holding higher vibration. So the analogy that's being given is driving a car on a very bumpy road. You're in the car still, you're driving it, but you're kind of all over the place because it's bumpy. You're safe, but it's bumpy. And because it's bumpy, it's not comfortable. So humanity is experiencing a lot of discomfort right now. And this discomfort is due largely to the fact that we are essentially shifting gears. Okay. So what happens when we shift gears? We can go quicker, smoother. We can have shifting gears. I want to say the words, we can move up higher. Okay. Now I want to say this: higher doesn't mean better, although it is. It simply means it's frequency change. But because it is shifting to higher frequencies, things naturally, life becomes better. Because in order to vibrate higher, we have to let go of the density that we have been holding on to. And that's part of the letting go process. Humanity is going through a lot of turmoil right now, because through this turmoil, humanity is going to see, it's going to become visible what needs to be let go of. If we don't know what needs to be let go of, we're not going to let it go because we don't know. We're in the unknown zone. Okay? What we are seeing through these conflicts that are happening on planet Earth right now, people are looking at each other and they're asking a question: why am I doing this? What is it all for? And the thing about that is that if you do not ask the question, you will not get an answer. In other words, to have answers as to why is this happening, what is this for, you have to ask yourself this question: why is this happening? What is this about? Do I want this? Is this what I want for me for the rest of my life? The whole idea of war is not new to humanity. It is part of humanity. And as long as humans will hold the idea in their consciousness, somewhere in their psyche, that war is good, we're going to experience war. Now, here's the thing. Most people you ask, they will say, no, war is not good. Why? Because it's a lose-lose proposition. You might gain something, but at what cost? And humanity is asking the question, is the cost of this worth it? Is it worth it? Is the cost of this war that we're fighting in order to gain something, is the cost of that worth it? The answer is no. Generally, the answer is no. But because people are becoming more conscious of that questioning, something begins to shift. Okay? Now, I would say that most people in humanity are opposing wars. Most people are opposing wars. So that's more than 50%. Let's use that human term. So if majority of humanity is opposing war, why do we still have wars? What's going on? If there is strength in numbers, which there is, why isn't the number of humanity, which is strong, presents a strong desire to not have wars, why do we still have wars? It means that the minority of humanity is making all these decisions that are destructive for all humanity. Why is this happening? We don't feel good when we are at war. Then why do we continue to do things that don't feel good? That are not in alignment with who we truly are? Here's the thing. That's because, generally speaking, those who are pro-war, if you will, they're expressing themselves out of their own misalignment. And when we are misaligned, we're off track. I guess what they're saying here is that humanity is off track a little bit. Now, from a highest perspective, there's no such thing. There's nothing that's off track. It's simply pure experience. But that's from the highest source's perspective. It's an experience. But from a human perspective, it is important to understand that what we do for ourselves, we do for others. Conversely, if that's the right word, what we do for others, we do for ourselves. We affect each other. Where there is war, it affects everything. Where there is peace, it affects everything as well. So if we are experiencing all these wars and all these wars are affecting everything and everyone, and that is not what we want, because what we want peace, why is it happening? Why is war still taking place? In order for there to be the concept of war, there has to be the winner and the loser. In other words, when it comes to war, someone has to win and someone has to lose. Okay? Because if there is an agreement, then there is no war to be had. Question is then this: are we enjoying being in disagreement? Looks like the answer is yes. Why are we wanting to be enjoying being in disagreement? How does that make any sense? Now, of course, we don't all agree on everything, on everybody, but we surely have some things in common. Why cannot we focus on that? What's wrong with focusing what we have in common? What's wrong with focusing on what we can improve versus what can we destroy? If you are destroying something, you are destroying part of yourself. Why? Because that something is part of you, the part of you is part of it. Wars destroy people. Why? Why are we still playing out wars? That's an interesting question. And this is precisely why humanity is starting to ask those questions. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? What's the cost of this? And is the cost worth the pain? Or is the win worth the pain? Is the cost too high? Every single individual has to ask themselves that question. When most individuals ask themselves that question and they say, no, it's not worth it. The cost is too high. They are not going to participate in war. Why? Because it's not what they want. You have enough people not wanting to participate in war. It ceases to exist eventually. There's no one there who is willing to fight. Here's the thing. If we are still having wars, then that means there are people who are willing to fight. And they have their own reasons. Everybody has their own reasons. People have reasons for fighting and people have reasons for protecting themselves. And they're both going at it quite adamantly. In the process, killing everything and everyone. Well, not everything and everyone, but you get the picture. Bottom line is this. Humanity is shifting. The way which we will know that humanity has really shifted its course will be evident by the type or lack of wars that we will have. Because the idea of war, the essence of war, exists in a very dense vibration. My understanding is, says Joanna, that the type of wars that we have here on Earth, it's almost unheard of. Beings don't butcher themselves for whatever reasons. Generally, they're selfish reasons. Because things like selfishness and greed doesn't really exist in higher consciousness. Why? Because higher consciousness is all about realizing that everything is plenty. There's no shortage of everything, of anything, including no shortage of war, if that is what we continue to want. Now they're using the word want, and I'm going, well, no one wants war. And they're saying, well, then the question then begs, why do we have war if no one wants war? Clearly, some must want war. For what? To win something? Regardless of what you will win, you will always lose something in the process. Is the loss worth it? Or is the cost too high? And the DNA that I was talking about earlier, the activation of our DNA or reactivation of our DNA, it's like switching on the lights. Imagine you walk into a dark home and then you switch on the light and all of a sudden you can see everything. And with switching our DNA or reactivating our DNA, it helps us to see clearly and realize there is no need for war. Oh my God, that's crazy. There's no need for war. We can solve this in so many other ways. But we can't do that if we don't see other people through compassion. If we only see through anger or hate, we're not going to do that. Now, where does hate come from? Does it come from outside? You can have hate thrown at you, but hate doesn't come from the outside. Hate comes from the inside. Just like fear. So if we hold hate and we hold fear, and this is not a judgment, by the way, these are all normal human emotions, part of the human experience. But if we resist letting that go, we're always going to be in conflict with ourselves first and foremost, and then we will create conflict in the world. That's the irony. We as humanity will create conflict as a result of having conflict on the inside. So back to square one. We are in the process as humanity of looking at our own inner conflicts. What are the wars that we are fighting within ourselves, in our own minds? And we all have that frequency of inner fight, inner critic, it basically stems from the idea of separation from one's true self. Because when we are in union with that which we truly are, through remembering, there's no longer need to hold on to fear and pain and hate and things like that. It transforms. So humanity is on I want to say humanity is on the road to recovery. And some recoveries take very long. Okay. Another way of saying is Pachamama or Mother Earth is healing. She's in a process of healing. You being part of her are also in the process of healing. So believe it or not, all the chaos that we are experiencing is the result of us healing, being in a process of healing. Sometimes when wound is healing, it becomes yucky and mucky and kind of gross before it starts to get better. This is the space that we are in terms of human experience. We're in the muck right now. And it's uncomfortable, and it's ugly, and it's wet, and it's certainly uncomfortable. Not for everybody, but as a humanity as a whole. Okay. And remember, you are part of humanity, and you are here to anchor light codes or higher frequency, which is more light, into planet Earth. So you are, if I can use the word, you are a pioneer in this movement. Okay. You may not think of yourself that way, but you are a pioneer. If you listen to this information, you are a pioneer. You're one of relatively few individuals compared to the rest of the world who is choosing to see, recognize, or remember your own light. And that takes courage. So you are in your own process of remembering that. Okay. Please drink lots of water over the next little while. Well, drink lots of water regardless, but make sure you stay hydrated because your body needs a lot of water, which is an energy conductor, in order to absorb all that higher frequency. Okay. What I'm being shown also, maybe wear color green or have a green stone with you, maybe like jade or some other green stone, to absorb some of the quote-unquote negative energy that you are releasing. I, as Joanna, have a bit of a difficulty with the word negative because when I speak from a higher consciousness, there's no such thing as negative. So I'm going to say this. Carry some green stone or lime green stone in order to absorb some of the heavier and denser energies that you are releasing. Okay. In the process of releasing it, you are healing. So they're connecting the color green or green stones with that. Okay. This is just the advice that I'm being given right now. Okay. So in other words, we're going through a lot. And right now, we are going through the eclipse. I believe it's Lunar Eclipse on October 28th. If you are listening to this after that date, the information provided here is going to go on for a while. I feel like we're barely at the beginning of a new chapter. Okay, but this information, specifically for you, will feel magnified over the next I'm hearing 2 to 3 years. So it looks like over the next 2 to 3 years. That's long. This whatever I have been channeling just now is going to feel very prevalent. Okay. Up until 2027 for some reason, and then something stops. I can't see further. It's like they're not allowing me to see what's past 2027. But I feel like it's another step. It's like we're reaching another level, potentially reaching another level. And what I'm getting is leap of faith. We will need to muster a lot of leap of faith in 2027 onward. So I don't know what that means. It doesn't feel scary. It feels exhilarating, but here's the image I'm being given. We're at the edge of a mountain and we're deciding, are we going to go back or are we going to take a leap of faith? And some people choose to go back because they don't have trust in themselves and in the universe, and other people take a leap of faith. They're scared as hell, but they're taking a leap of faith and they're realizing, oh my God, I can do this. And I never realized I could until I actually gave myself permission to trust and take a leap of faith. Okay. I don't know what that means in terms of physicality on 3D, but there's a lot of positivity that I feel. So if what I'm getting is that over the next 3 years, things are going to change drastically, and some of us, not all of us, are going to experience a completely different new level of just comfort with ourselves. That tells me that the type of the intensity of the work we're going to go through over the next 3 years is probably a little bumpy. Okay. Now, I'm not worried per se about us, those of you who are watching individuals. It feels more like on a global scale. You're going to be more than fine, because remember, you're here to anchor the light. So of course you're going to keep going. Of course you're going to be fine. Otherwise, if you were to go back to where you came from, then you wouldn't be anchoring these lights. So I'm not concerned about you at all. But it can be bumpy. Again, imagine you're going on a trip. You're taking a trip. You're on a path and you're going on a train. And the train is a little bit bumpy. You don't know where you're going. You're moving forward. You stepped on that train because it was your desire, your choice to step on that train. You were not forced. And you're on the way to whatever that is, to whatever the destination is. And it's a state of awareness. But it's a little bit bumpy. Okay? You're not scared, but you're like, And then eventually you get used to this bumpiness, where it just kind of becomes the norm a little bit. Okay? So we might feel a lot of intensity right now, but this intensity, it's not that the intensity is going to lessen, we're going to become much more familiar with this level of intensity. Again, intensity is not bad, but higher frequency is also a different intensity of vibration. And for those of you who are calling themselves empaths, for those of you who feel very strongly, who feel, absorb information, feelings, that ability, you being very sensitive, is potentially going to go through the roof. So I would make sure that you ground yourself, you work on your nervous system, you release any fears, because all these things can make you feel a little bit unsure, okay? Because the higher frequency uproots old paradigm. So we're going through a lot of uprooting right now. It's exciting, a little bit uncomfortable, uncomfortable. I want to use the word uncomfortable. So let me go through 3 piles, and let's see what messages my team has for you. I'm just looking at the notes that I made before I turned on the video. One of the messages was this: what you do for self, you also do for others. When you heal your own wounds, you are affecting others with your healed frequency. And the rest of us benefit. You may not be conscious of it. You may not know how. You may not even believe it. The point is that you are consciousness, you are vibration, and there is no beginning to you, and there is no end to you. You are connected to everything and everyone. Therefore, what you do for yourself, you do for others. So if you do something good for yourself, you are positively affecting humanity's fabric. On the other hand, if you do the opposite, if you are harming yourself in any way, and I don't just mean physically harming yourself, even if you're intellectually harming yourself, then that is also too affecting the humanity's fabric. It just feeds to the lack mentality. Okay? Lack mentality. Mental state of lack. And we are moving from that. The higher vibration is more about less lack, a lot less lack. So being a human, I know that you don't want to experience lack in your life. Why would you? I don't want to experience lack. I don't want to experience lack. Thank you very much. Maybe lack of garbage in my house. Yes, but I don't want to experience lack of beautiful things and lack of luck, Luck, of abundance. I don't, pardon me. I don't want to experience lack of abundance. I want to feel like I have luck with abundance. I want to experience abundance. Why wouldn't I want that for myself? That's what everyone wants. But many of us actually fear abundance. It's an interesting thing. Why do humans fear abundance? First and foremost, right away is what I get is that in our human fabric, we have this idea about self-worth. So many humans, as much as they desire wealth, they fundamentally believe that they're either not capable of creating it, it doesn't happen for them, they're lacking something to make it be so, or they're just plain not worthy. Those are like foundational. Okay. Again, I talk about this a lot. The whole idea of not worthy is a human thing. You are more than a human. As long as you begin to realize and remember your non-human aspect of you that is rich and abundant on all levels, and you can draw from that and make it yours in the physical world. As long as you know that, that is a million times better than winning a lottery. Why? Because you realize your potential. You are no longer needing to do anything. You experience it because you want to. And because you can. Not because you think you can't. That's a human thing. Okay? Now, if you are born 5'6" or 5 feet 6 inches, or if you are born 5'2", by remembering who you are you going to become 6 feet tall? No, because you still have a physical body. But as a 5 foot tall, 2 inches tall person, you can begin to realize things about yourself that you never thought possible. Okay? Some things you cannot change. You cannot change right now the fact that you are a human being. That's why you're watching this. You're a human being. You're having a human experience. But it doesn't mean that the moment you begin to realize that you are more than a human, that you cease existing to be a human. In fact, that's not the case at all. What ends up happening is your human experience improves and you begin to be more of your true self as a human being. Imagine that. Imagine being able to just be you. I'm not saying be you when you're angry, because that's not you. You're angry because you have something that's unhealed. That's not you. At the very core of who you are, there is absolutely no healing required. You're not broken, you're not sick, you're not inadequate, you're none of those things. As a human, yes, but you're having a human condition. That's okay. We're all here because we are experiencing human condition. Okay? And human condition can be beautiful, can be amazing. But we humans have to create the conditions. So what are some of the conditioning within you that are not allowing you to have a greater human experience? Is one of the things you say to yourself, I can't? Well, if that's what you believe, that's certainly your prerogative. You can believe whatever you want. Is it truth? Is it truth? It's your truth now. It's not necessarily the truth. All right, let's go through 3 piles. Pile number 1. What message does the universe have for you? What's missing for you? Refining galactic lineage. What I'm getting from this is, that you are releasing any quote-unquote issues you have about I want to say your own arrogance, okay? Your own arrogance, lack of connection with other worlds, and inferiority. Okay? You are very much in your head, pile number 1. And when we are in our heads, we forget to be in the body. Which means when we are not in the body, we are not present. What is missing for you, pile number 1, is you're not being present. You're not being present with yourself. And if you're not being present, you also cannot enjoy life as much as you could. Okay? Why? Because presence takes you to future or past, which is basically you creating stories. You're in your mind creating stories because past doesn't exist, future doesn't exist. You are in the now creating stories, but you are not conscious of that. You're just in your head. And your future is often based on your past stories because we recreate based on our patterns. Pal number 1, you are recognizing your own behaviors that are leading you to uncovering certain patterns that you have to look at, that you have to go look into. And ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? If you are, I don't know why I want to say this, but the words are this. If you're torturing yourself about something, ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? Why am I torturing myself? Unless you desire to feel tortured, which I don't know why you would, but hey, it's your life. You belong to yourself, so if you want to torture yourself, that's up to you. And of course, I'm being a little bit funny here, but who the hell wants to torture themselves? We have enough torture in the world. So the word torture, this is very specific, and it feels very, very palatable. I have a feeling, whoever I'm speaking to, this is not going to be for everyone, but I have a feeling that you have a past in your own DNA, some past other than this lifetime, where torture was part of your experience. It's like you're terrified of torture, but you're also torturing yourself at the same time. This is going to sound very strange, but it's almost like you're used to torture. That's just bizarre. One of the ways why you torture, how you torture yourself is not physical torture necessarily, is you don't trust yourself. You constantly depend on others for what you should do or what you're going to do. And they're saying, effectively, that's self-torture. How is it a torture? Because they're saying not believing in yourself is very sad. Not believing in yourself is basically saying, I don't trust me, I don't believe in my abilities. Maybe even goes as far as saying, I don't know who I am. Maybe you don't know who you are yet. In fact, I suspect that's why you're here. You're wanting to realize something different about who you are. So what are some of the ways, pile one, that you torture yourself? And when I say torture, I don't mean physically, I hope not. But torture in terms of constantly push yourself down. I'm not enough. I'm not this. I'm not this. I'm not that. It's just this constant self-torture. Self-torture. Ask yourself the question, is this what I want? I suspect the answer is no. If the answer is no, if it's not what you want, then why are you doing it? Why do you continue to perpetuate this self-torture? I just heard, I don't know how to be any other way. Okay, so how it serves you, it's your comfort zone. Okay, so you are denying yourself, being in denial of yourself, of your own truth. This is what you're used to. Okay, this is what you're used to. I suspect you felt like you were not able to be your own person when you were a child. Okay, that's changing for you right now. Pardon me, it's not changing for you. You are in the process of changing it by discovering your truth. You are beginning to realize your own truth, and you begin to magnify this truth, and you begin to ask questions such as, is this really my truth right now? Is this my truth? If the answer is yes, do I want to change it? Do I want to change my truth? I just heard, I don't know how. Well, first ask yourself the question, what do you want to believe? What do you want to believe? And make it something that is realistic. For example, if you say to yourself, well, I want to believe that I can fly. Well, you're never going to believe that, because as a human, you don't fly, period. Okay? Pick something that you're not going to be resistant to. Perhaps what you want to believe is that I am enough. Okay? That's doable. Decide you are enough right now. And then remind yourself every moment when you doubt yourself, recognize, wait a second, I am enough. That's just an old story. And I don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, but I'm used to it, so I'm playing it out right now, but I'm becoming conscious of it, and I choose to not play it out any longer by choosing a different affirmation in my own mind. And that affirmation ultimately leads you to different way of living life, different consequences, different experiences. Decide how you choose to live your life and ask yourself the question, what is required of me in order to experience that? And that then becomes your responsibility. Okay? Building blocks. You have to look at your own foundation for quote unquote, what is wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you, but you believe there's something wrong with you. You believe you have some inadequacies, and those inadequacies you term as wrong. No. Inadequacies are, what's inadequacy? It's based on I can't, or I won't, or I'm not supposed to. It's based on lack, okay? So if you have inadequacies, you have quote unquote lack inside of you. Now remember, you are more than a human, and that part of you lacks no thing. In order for you to tap into that vibration, you have to look at the human conditioning. What part of me says what story, and do I believe in that? The answer is yes. Right now you believe in that. The question then becomes, do I want to believe in that going forward? The answer is generally no. The question again, what do you choose to believe now? They threw an example here at me that I feel someone may say, or this is just an example. Perhaps you want to believe that you are lean, but you are now quite overweight. They're just giving me that example for some reason. Or we could say rich, but right now you're struggling with money. Okay? To tell yourself that you believe that you are rich is not going to work very well for you, because you're not. Okay? Doesn't matter how much you tell yourself, I'm skinny, and you're not. Or I'm rich, and I'm actually I'm struggling with money. You're never going to believe that. It's just going to become more of a conflict. No, don't do that. What you might want to say is this: I choose to believe that I am abundant, and I affirm to myself that every day I think of myself as unabundant. I'm going to correct myself and say, no, that's no longer my truth. That's no longer my truth. And the more you remind yourself that this new belief is your new truth, it's no different than what happened to you before. You were conditioned to believe certain things. You are now conditioning to believe other things. It's like hearing a song in the background for long enough, then you turn the radio off and the song is still in your head. It's not playing anywhere, but it's in your mind. It's stuck. This is what you are doing effectively, is you are reconditioning yourself, your neural networks. You are rewiring your brain. And they're saying that when we do this, our chemicals start to act differently in our brains. I don't know if it's true. I trust them. Okay. So when we say you are in the process of rewriting your story, we could also say you are in the process of rewiring you as a story. You are rewiring you as a story. Okay. Emotional challenges resolve the issue. So again, this speaks to me of inner conflict. Okay. I'm looking at the numbers here, which is 1 and 5. Even though this 15 is the devil, I believe, in a tarot deck, which is all about attachments, conditioning, limitations. The word I get is see beyond the mask that you are wearing. We all wear masks. Okay, some people's masks are thicker than others. Okay, and mask is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes we need to wear a certain mask, but we need to be genuine. So if you're wearing a mask and you're genuine, I guess not. Sometimes we need to wear a mask. Okay, we don't need to. Sometimes we choose to wear a mask, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But if we always rely on our mask to be seen for the mask and not to be seen for who we really are, then we're basically not living who we really are. We're trying to be somebody different. Pile number one, you're trying to be somebody different than what you currently are right now, than who you currently are right now. What needs to happen is you need to start a little bit more of self-acceptance. Okay? Accepting yourself as you are right now with the intention of changing and experiencing something different. But it has to come from a space of you accepting yourself right now. And you are in a lot of resistance. This is very, I want to say the word very typical of what we are going through humanity. Taking off the mask is difficult because it allows, well, it's first of all, it's a very vulnerable process, and it's equivalent to you coming out, and that's scary. By coming out, what I mean is holding yourself back. Okay? When you wear a mask, when you are trying to be something you are not, or you don't accept yourself who you are right now, and you're trying to be something different or somebody different, you are not being yourself. You are not living your truth. You're not being who you are. Okay? Are you embarrassed because of some of your lack of accomplishments? Don't be embarrassed about it. Just look at those lack of accomplishments and decide to accomplish them. Decide to accomplish them. Now, the decision has to come from a space of knowing rather than just thinking. If you decide today that you are going to draw to you a lot of money, but your belief system doesn't support that, then you can tell yourself all you want. You're going to have a very hard time attracting it to you. That's because you have to believe it, which means, again, you have to look at your belief systems, your stories. Okay? Because within your story lie belief systems. And this is what we are shifting and changing as humanity. So pile number one, this is very much about your own belief systems around the idea of you're transitioning from not being enough to being more than enough, but it requires a lot of inner work, and there's going to be some turmoil in the process because you are literally transforming as a person with identity. Your very identity is transforming. I could also say that you are going through what some call ego death. Okay, or have been going through ego death, or will be going through ego death over the next, 2 to 3 years. Okay, they're saying it doesn't have to be painful or difficult as long as you don't resist. And resisting is all about control. Okay, so if you try to control this process too much, you're going to create a lot of resistance. Ask someone to help you with this. Ask somebody to help you with this process, to give you some guidance. Okay. I just heard Prozac isn't going to help you. So I am not saying don't take medication, but medication is not going to deal with what's actually going on. It will perhaps blunt some of the feelings and emotions, but then you're going to be a little bit numb to what's going on. And I'm not saying don't take anything to take the edge off, because if you're way off in anxiety land, you need something sometimes to help you. But what you don't want is to numb yourself to the point where you're not feeling anything, because then you're not dealing with anything, and then you're going to get stuck. Okay, because right now you're needing to deal with something on an emotional level. It has to come through you to be transformed. You have to feel it. Okay, that's why having someone helping you and holding your hand, if you will, holding space for you, is often very advisable, because it makes the process a little bit easier. Okay, again, remember, it takes courage to be a human being. It takes courage to be you. What you are going through requires a lot of courage. You are courageous. You may not feel that right now, but you are. Take my word for it. Take our word for it. Okay? So that's what I have for you, pile number one. All right, pile number two. Let's see what we have for you. Light of awareness. This message represents what's missing. And what I want to say is what's missing is self-acknowledgement. So pile 1 talked about acceptance a little bit. This feels self-acknowledgement and acceptance. It's not the same thing, because in order to accept something, you first have to acknowledge it. Okay, so pile 1 deals with accepting something. Pile number 2, you are dealing with acknowledgement. It's like you are needing to reassess your values and compare your values to what you want. When I say values, I mean sets of conditionings. If you are, for example, looking at your future, and in your future you have a beautiful house, but right now what you are acknowledging is that I am poor, I have nothing to offer, I don't believe in myself, no one will hire me. That is a contradiction to you experiencing that quote-unquote beautiful house, which could mean abundance. It could mean it means a goal, something you want, you desire, but you have a belief system that is in complete contradiction to that. You need to realize what that is, because what's going to happen is you're going to put all this effort towards trying to attain this beautiful house, as an example, but it's going to be a lot of resistance. It's going to feel so hard. It's like, oh my God, why is this taking so long? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for me to achieve this? Because there's a part of you that doesn't believe in it. You have to acknowledge that. They're saying through acknowledgement we heal, because to acknowledge is to bring light to something. Okay? Another way of interpreting this message is, what is missing in your life? Greater level of companionship, love, romance. What is missing in your life? A state of being. What's missing? And why are you not experiencing it? Because as a being, there is no lacking anything within you. You can experience basically on whatever you want within the human confines, okay? So if you are desiring greater love, the question you might want to ask yourself, do I love myself the way I want to be loved? Do I love myself the way I desire to be loved? If you are used to people, quote unquote, kicking you down or taking you for granted, then perhaps you need to acknowledge that there's a part of you that takes you for granted. You take you for granted. If that's the case, ask yourself the reason why. Why do I take myself for granted? Simple. You don't believe in yourself. Okay. Where did you learn to not believe in yourself? I always had it. No, sorry. You didn't always have it. Trust me. You learned it from something. You learned it from someone. Who or where did you learn from to not trust yourself? Go back to that moment. Go back to that moment of awareness and realize that the whole not trusting yourself has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with other people projecting their ideas onto you. Okay? Okay. And this is a very powerful message, because I feel that many of you, pile number 2, are meant to be quote unquote teachers or memory bringers, energy bringers. Like, part of your job, quote unquote, is to bring people their memories back, to bring back to people what they've forgotten about. You're some sort of a communicator, okay? But because of your current beliefs right now, you're holding yourself back. You're not feeling significant enough to be able to do this thing that you're here to do. Of course you're significant enough. That's why you're here. Okay? But that's just us saying this to you. If you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. Okay? Do you believe in the things you want to experience. If you want to experience greater love, do you believe in great love? Do you believe in great love? By the way, you are great love. If you believe in great love, you believe in you. If you don't believe in love, you don't believe in you. Do you believe in love? Or does love hurt? Oftentimes love hurts. It smacks you in the face. And when that happens, we tell ourselves, nope, thank you very much. I choose not to be loved. No. You're not choosing not to be loved. You're choosing to not experience pain. But because you associate pain with love for some of you, you're choosing not to be loved. Of course you want to be loved. You're basically saying, I'd rather not be loved than to experience the pain. That's what you're saying. You've heard of the analogy of the pain of losing someone? And the only reason why there's so much pain when we lose someone is because that someone is so significant to us. That's when we realize the extent of love we have for whatever it is that, or whoever it is that we are losing. Okay? It means something. Okay? You don't mean a lot to yourself right now. You don't mean a lot to yourself. I'm asking the question, what does that mean? Well, do you feel meaningful? When something is meaningful, something is solid. Do you believe that about yourself? Do you believe that you are meaningful? Okay. Because if you believe that you are meaningful, if you feel solid, you're not going to choose that which is not good to you. You will not allow things and people to tear you down. You will not expect the worst things to happen. You will not do that. So where are you vibing right now? Are you looking for greater love, but at the end of the day, some part of you deep inside says, no, love is not real. Love doesn't exist, and love is pain, and therefore you keep experiencing not real love and disappointments. Pile number 2 seems to be a lot around love. First and foremost, loving yourself. I don't know why I want to say this. It's almost strange, but I hope I don't offend anybody. Being promiscuous is not loving yourself. It's being promiscuous. I don't know who this is for. I don't know if this is you or for someone you know, or if you've been that way before. There's no judgment here, by the way. None whatsoever. But perhaps some of you are used to looking for love purely through sexual transaction. Okay, perhaps you think of sex as love. No, sex is sex, love is love. You can have a sexual experience with someone you love, yes, absolutely. But sex doesn't mean love. Can be a beautiful thing. So there's some kind of interesting situation with pile number 2. You have some beliefs. It's to do with love and being loved and looking for love in quote unquote all the wrong places. Always remember this. Love comes from within you. Even when you feel that someone loves you, you still feel it from within you. You don't feel it from them. You feel it from you. You feel it in your body. When you feel loved, you feel it in your body. So it doesn't matter how you look at it. It comes from you. What I'm getting, pile number 2, is that you're not looking for love from within you. You're looking for love from within, without, in other places. And 9 times out of 10, you will always be disappointed, because that's not where love is. Love is not outside of you. Love is inside of you. When you see your own love, then you begin to share your love freely. You won't have to feel that people are taking advantage of you. because you will be expressing different vibration, and different type of people will be attracted to you. Those who don't take you for granted, those who actually say, wow, I'm lucky to be with you, I'm lucky to be your friend. They will communicate to you your worth. It's not because you've changed, it's because you've recognized something. You realized something about yourself. You switched on the lights, if you will. That's beautiful. This speaks to me about taking chances. Any kinds of chances, but particularly chances in love. You know the saying, take a chance on love. Take a chance on love, but be smart about it. If you see a whole bunch of red flags that remind you of what used to be, then don't take that for granted. Go, okay, these are red flags. Let me look at it. Okay? Because I have a suspicion that many of you listening to this who resonate with this message, you will, in the next 2-3 years, you'll be finding yourself in a potentially new love relationship. And the idea here is that you are on a precipice of old and new. You're between the old and the new. You're between two worlds. And these two worlds basically signify your way of being versus new way of being. And the old way of being has certain patterns and behaviors attached to it. When you transform and when you let go of the past pain, your tendency to repeat the old patterns that have not been serving you very well, or that have been giving you that which you don't want, you will begin to make less of those choices, and you will begin to make better choices for yourself. However, if you don't recognize these conflicting stories inside of yourself, then you are bound to quote unquote repeat the same mistake again. Now, I'm using the term mistake with quotation mark because, again, on the highest level, there is no such thing as a mistake. It's all an experience. But let's speak from human level. You know, we don't want to, generally speaking, repeat the same things that we don't want in the first place. So in order for you not to find yourself in that same situation, you have to observe certain patterns that are coming from your conditioning. Okay. And you'll go through some turmoil because that means giving up on that which you know and opening yourself to something that you don't know yet. That's why you see this person, this woman, stepping off the ledge. She's taking a chance. Okay? You have two choices. You can take a chance on something new and something better, or you can take a choice on going back and repeating the same pattern. The choice is yours. Okay? Well, what if I choose and it's the same thing? Well, then you're choosing your old pattern. Okay? If something is presented to you, you have a choice to say yay or nay. I'm speaking specifically with relationships. Okay? If something is being presented to you and you go with your own patterns and old behaviors, then chances are you will repeat the same process all over again. On the other hand, if you enter into it with new understanding, with heightened awareness and greater self-responsibility for your love, that relationship that you enter may actually become the relationship you thrive in. Okay, so you guys are on this precipice of leaving old, not quite entering the new, but there is a lot of romantic energy here in pile number 2. So if you are single right now, even if you're not single, perhaps you are not in a very committed relationship, and perhaps that relationship will end and another one will begin if the current one is no longer aligned with your path that you are on, which is one of higher frequency. If that is no longer aligned with you, then the universe will let you know. Okay? And my suggestion would be to listen. Okay? That goes for jobs as well. Open intuition. Seek clarification. To me, it feels like this person is coming out of dark, but they're not quite sure where they're going. So you may be You may be feeling like you're walking, like you're sleepwalking, confused and dazed. You actually might have frequent headaches and feel dizzy on a physical level. So that has nothing to do with love. I don't think. This is just another message. So make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. And if you can, if it's warm outside, I'm seeing you putting your face towards the sun. So obviously if you're somewhere hot, put on sunscreen. Not for a long time. I want to select 10 minutes because I feel like you need some sun. You need ray. That can also mean that you might benefit from my vitamin D. Again, I'm not a doctor. Never claimed to be. I don't diagnose. I'm not a nutritionist, but this is the information that's coming up. And also bump up your vitamin C because your entire system, for some of you, is working overtime. Okay. In fact, maybe you are actually physically working overtime right now. And I'm like, your time is over. Time for a break. Some of you are insistent on becoming better and better and better. I need to be better. I need to be better. When will better be ever enough? When will better be enough? What does it look like when you finally reach the space of being enough? What does that look like? What does it feel like? Well, it feels like I'm enough. Well, here's the problem. You are enough already, but you're not feeling it. So you have to look at your lenses because your perception of you is skewed. Okay? You're enough already. That thing that you're seeking for, to be better, to be enough, you're that already. In fact, you've surpassed it. Okay? You're not seeing that within yourself, and that's the problem. And perhaps in relationships, you go overboard and you overextend yourself just to be loved because you believe that just being you is not good enough. It's not enough. You have to be better. No. If you don't accept you the way you are, how can you accept someone to accept you for who you are? You don't accept you for who you are. So rejection will be a big theme for you in pile number 2. I'm not saying you will be rejected. I feel there is a lot of rejection theme in pile number 2 for you. But rejection is a very common theme. Okay. This is rejection in relationship when it comes to hearts. Okay. You often, whoever you are, if you're a female, you have a very dominant masculine side. You want to be the boss of everything. So perhaps you are someone who has tendencies to be very controlling or tendency towards controlling. Remember this, controlling always leads to pretty much one space, lack of safety. So you don't feel safe within yourself. At the end of the day, pretty human standard condition. So looking at the mechanics of your inner safety or unsafety is something that is requiring your attention right now. Why don't I feel safe inside of me? For one, if you have not accepted yourself fully, you will not feel safe because you will believe that there is something missing, and that something missing, you will always seek to the outside, the thing you cannot control. So you're going to be trying to find a void and fill it with whatever it is, but you cannot control it, which means you will fill that void, but because you're not in control of it, it'll be taken away again. It never is permanently yours. You don't see yourself as enough, pile number 2. And that's a quote-unquote a problem. It's a problem in your relationships. Galactic Healer, move forward with an open mind. Okay? I have a feeling that pile number 2, some of you have connection with dolphins or whales. Because what I heard the word dorsal fin and dolphins. Okay, so you might have a connection to dolphins. You might be quote unquote water babies, so maybe water element. You might be natural at swimming, like swimming is just like, oh my God, I love swimming. Or you might be terrified of water. For some of you, they might be terrified of water. Let me just expand this a little bit more. Galactic Healer, move forward with an open mind. Your third eye is quite open, but I feel like your third eye is bumping against some old belief systems that have to do with religion. So you may not be a religious person, you may not be practicing religion, but your ancestors probably carried a pretty heavy religious conditioning, and that's in your DNA. Okay. Because what I'm getting is these very, very dogmatic religious beliefs, like they're giving me a contradiction. On one hand, somebody says, you know, you can talk to God, God is everything. But on the other hand, if God talks to you, then it's blasphemy. That's a massive contradiction right there. What do you mean? So you have these conflicting beliefs that although your third eye is open, these beliefs are minimizing how much you can see, limiting how much you can see, because it's like there's a part of you that doesn't want to see it because it's directly confronting your ego, the foundation upon which your ego is built. So pile number 3, you'll be in the process of shattering some belief systems, some really, really, really old belief systems over the next 2 to 3 years. It's a process and a half. Okay, and it's a very unveiling process, unraveling process, and unraveling. Something is being unraveled. But I'm also seeing the tower moment. So what this is representing is destruction of old foundations to reveal the new. Which means it's always been there. It has been obscured by your belief systems right now. Okay, you are returning to yourself more fully. Pile number 2. It feels like a very powerful experience. I can feel it in my heart. It's a very heightened experience. I feel like I want to say you'll be kicking yourself why you haven't done it sooner. But as you're going through the process, it may not feel like that. Okay. Remember, your job here is one of your jobs, if you will, to anchor higher frequency. In order for you to anchor higher frequency to planet Earth, you have to be able to hold the frequency within you. With a lower vibrational conditioning that's very earthly and very dense, you're not going to be able to hold a lot of light because it's going to literally mess up your entire electric system and your nervous system. Okay, so you have to let go some of that density in order to activate or reactivate your own light codes and be able to receive light codes in order to bring that light into your body and into physicality. Okay, so you're going to go through a bit of a earth-shattering experiences. Again, nothing bad, but these are revealing experiences, and they're very potent and they're very powerful. And for many of you, this is going to help and bring you closer to your path. So for many of you right now, over the next 2 to 3 years, your path is revealing itself to you. That's powerful. That's powerful. So right now, we could say that you are going through a process of pruning, which is getting rid of whatever is not serving you. So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. That's fantastic. Okay, pile 3, let's see what we have for you. Oh, we have guilt. Guilt is a very strong vibration. It's anchoring in a way that disables us from moving on. It keeps us stuck in a certain frequency and we can't go further. Okay. Guilt is also an energy that is very draining. In other words, guilt drains your own energy. When you are in guilt, you are draining your own energy. I'm not sure how that works as Joanna here. on a physiological level, but they're saying, okay, they're saying it's on an emotional level. Okay, here's how I'm gonna say it. Holding on to holding on to guilt, it's like draining your own energy. Why would you want to drain your energy? Nobody wants to be drained. I want to be drained today. I want to feel drained. No, people say, I want to feel elated. I want to feel good. Nobody says, I want to feel drained. Yet, when you are holding on to guilt, that's exactly what you are doing. You are draining yourself. And it feels like you're always empty. Something is missing. And that's because guilt is holding you back. But I'm going to rephrase. It's not that guilt is holding you back. Guilt has no control over you. You are holding on to guilt, but you don't see it that way. Now, nobody in their right mind consciously would say, I want to hold on to guilt. I love it. No, we don't. That's not what we do. In fact, I hope that's not what we do. We hold on to guilt because we don't know how to let it go. Here's how you can let go of guilt. It's quite simple, but it's probably one of the most difficult things to do for self. Forgiveness. Forgive yourself for whatever you are feeling guilty for. Forgive yourself. You are already forgiven. You are already forgiven. And there is no need to beg. Let that sink into you. Guilt destroys your self-confidence. So you will not be walking around feeling confident and ready to take on the world if you are holding on to guilt. Okay? Guilt destroys your ability to be true to yourself. Guilt holds you back from being true to yourself. Okay? Why? Because guilt has a very punishing energy. By holding on to guilt, you are punishing yourself. So you are, in essence, in self-punishment. What are you punishing yourself for? So when you feel guilty, you are punishing yourself for. What is it that you're punishing yourself for? Okay? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I just heard someone, I have no choice. Oh, of course you have choice. Of course you have a choice. That's the whole point. You have a choice how you feel. You have a choice how you believe, what you believe. You have a choice how you experience life. Of course you do. You have a choice, yes. The question is, do you want to? Well, I don't know if I should. I don't know if you should either. Do you want to? Can you forgive yourself? Learn from the experience, as painful as it might have been. Learn from the experience and use that experience in order to help educate others or to help you in your life going forward. Can you do that? Perhaps by forgiving yourself, you will learn compassion. Perhaps by holding on to guilt, you are controlling others with guilt. And guilt can and is used to control. Okay? I don't feel this is a direct message to you, but it's like there's something about guilt here. It feels more like guilt was used as a way to control you. Do you feel guilty because you were guilted to feel guilty? Or because somehow you are made to feel guilty? In which case, that guilt isn't even yours. For some of you, I feel like you are holding to a lot of guilt, and it has to do with your own mother. Okay? She either guilted you or she felt very guilty for herself, and perhaps she was the one guilted. And she just didn't know how to resolve it within herself. And this is the energy you embodied because you are part of her. So you see, some of the guilt that you are carrying, maybe perhaps even all of it, that's not even yours. Maybe you say to yourself, I feel guilty and I don't even know why. I'll give you an example from here, Joanna. Sometimes I have moments where I feel really good and I question if it's okay for me to feel good. I feel guilty for feeling good. Here's what I learned in one of my plant medicine ceremonies just about a month ago. I had it brainwashed into my psychology from some other lifetimes, and probably from this lifetime too, I'm not aware of it though, that to seek pleasure is a bad thing. So of course, me feeling good made me wonder if it's okay, and I feel guilty for feeling okay, because to feel good is to feel pleasure. This is the conditioning that was inside of me. I had no idea, none. Okay, because it's on such a deep level. It's woven in the DNA. It's in the ancestral line. It's such a deep energy. Sometimes we don't even know we have it. Okay. They're saying this is the type of guilt that's inborn. In other words, you were not born with the guilt, but when you were, let me rephrase it. It was given to you. So in essence, you were born with guilt, but not because you're a guilty soul coming in to feel guilty. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's your parents' projections of their own energy and their own DNA, which carries a certain vibration within that DNA, is energy of guilt. So although you were born with it, it's not yours. It's you have embodied it as a result of being the child of your parents and coming from a certain ancestral line. And I'm also getting the word indigenous. There is some kind of guilt around the idea of indigenous people. And I don't know if you're indigenous, or it feels like you are from a line of indigenous, and perhaps they were fed a lot of guilt and shame. Okay? Indigenous is a very strong vibration here right now. So pile number 3, you are going to be healing ancestral lines over the next 2 to 3 years. Perhaps you're going through it already, and it has a lot to do with guilt and shame and just letting that go and forgiving yourself. Okay. What I'm also getting is a lot of guilt around sexuality. So many of you will need to look into healing your own sexuality. Okay. And perhaps you carry a lot of guilt around sexuality. Okay, well, sexuality also brings pleasure. If you have guilt around sexuality, perhaps there's a fear of enjoying sexuality. Perhaps you are genuinely afraid to enjoy sexuality, so you hide from it, so you withhold it. Okay, so you shame it, so you numb it. Anything you numb or shame that is a part of you, you are numbing yourself, you are shaming yourself. That's not going to serve you. Now, from the highest perspective, from the universe perspective, it's an experience, but let's bring it down a notch. Okay? From your experience, as far as your soul is concerned, shame and guilt is no longer necessary in order for you to learn your karmic lessons. You're done. Okay? So guilt is very karmic for you, pile number 3. And I just hope you let go of it, because I too have carried a lot of guilt, most of it not even mine. And it's a nasty thing. I still do have bits and pieces. It rears its head, but it's like, oh, okay. It doesn't have nearly the same effect on me. In some situations still does, but I want to say it's like 70-80% less. And it's very freeing. Okay? And you can actually use that energy that was pent up in guilt and use it for something else. Soulmates. You are now ready for a new beginning. And pile number 2 talk quite a bit about romance and romantic love. So you might benefit from pile number 2 as well. But what I'm hearing is you're shining. It's like you're glowing. Literally, maybe you are glowing right now. Maybe you will begin to glow as you release this habit of feeling guilt, and shame. And you are a very attractive person, whoever you are. However, I don't believe, I don't think that you see yourself as an attractive person. And it's like you're growing into your own skin, pile number 3, and that's a beautiful thing. And because of that, you are becoming so much more attractive. It's like the image I'm getting is of a beautiful white flower that's living under a tree, so it's not getting very much sun, and then something happens to the tree, it falls or whatever, and then and then a lot of sun begins to shine on the flower, and then this beautiful flower opens up to its potential. That's you. With that comes vulnerability. Okay, it is not easy to feel vulnerable, but I also want you to know this: your vulnerability is your strength. Your vulnerability says, this is who I am, like it or leave it. There's no need to try to convince someone who you are or who you're not. You're just being yourself. Do you know how much more pleasant that is in a relationship when you're not trying to be something that you're not, or you're not trying to change someone to what you want? That when you're just being yourself, do you know how much lighter that is? I'll tell you it is lighter because I've been in one of those relationships before, and I'm not in that right now. So your growth comes from your growth. You're glowing and you are growing. Perhaps you're growing or glowing as a result of your growing. And, there is such thing as growing pains. We know that. Every relationship has its growing pains. So even though you are ready, you will go through some growing pains in your own relationship. Perhaps you have a relationship right now and you're going through a little bit of growing pains because your relationship is ready to move on to the next level. Okay? Whenever that happens, it's because the relationship is ready. Are you ready? Is your partner ready? Okay, so you might be experiencing some growth-related challenges right now within a relationship. I heard, as Joanna some time ago, that we change every 7 years. So because we change every 7 years, everything else around us and our relationship to our world and people we are with changes as well. So you might be going through some big change right now. I'm seeing also number 28. You might be 28 years old. You might be 28 years in a relationship. Hey, if you've lasted 28 years in a relationship, you're a rarity these days. That's beautiful. But I want to talk about being 28. Perhaps this will make sense to you around age of 28, if you're 28 or if you're 28 right now. It doesn't mean that you can't have relationships when you're older than 28. That doesn't mean that at all, but there's some focus on 28 here. Maybe it's a message for some of you, okay? Maybe it's a message to just signify, hey, I'm talking about you. I'm encouraging you to do the work, to let go of the guilt so that you can enjoy this kind of a relationship that's shown over here where there's support, there's trust. But there's also individuality, two individual beings having a beautiful experience together, okay? They're also very supportive of each other. I have a feeling that at some point you have not felt supported, or relationships to you generally mean lack of support. So if you grew up in a family where you experienced a lot of lack of support from your family, chances are you will expect that on some level in other relationships. So if you are used to experiencing relationships where you're not feeling supported, you have to look at your beliefs. Okay? There's something there for you to address. Okay? Perhaps your mom and dad were not very supportive of each other, and this is how you learned relationships are. Okay? Perhaps your mom was not very supportive of your mom's growth, so she kept herself back. And as a result, you have a tendency to keep yourself back in a relationship. You're trying to be something you're not. Okay? Or you're trying to not grow. You cannot not grow. You grow every day. The question is, do you realize what the growth is, and can you learn from the lessons? Okay. I have a feeling you'll benefit from pile number 2, pile number 3. Okay. Align your universe, navigate distractions. There's a lot coming at you right now from all over the place, including from the galactic voices. So you are obviously tapped into other galaxies, perhaps Pleiadians as well. That's my star family. Okay. Incidentally, when I was in Peru, it was presented to me that, oh, Joanna, you do realize you have Pleiadian blood? I'm like, oh my goodness. I can actually own it right now. In the past, I used to just think about it and kind of believe it, but it wasn't like... So when they told me this and I felt it in my body, I'm like, well, of course. That's why I saw myself in a blue body and I cried like a baby because I knew it was home. Now that makes sense. I feel that you're not in a dissimilar situation. There's a lot coming at you. Okay. I also want to say that some of you are hearing either other people's voices in your head or you're hearing voices. And when I was experiencing that at the very beginning of my awakening journey, I will be honest with you, there were moments where I was asking myself if I was going mad. I remember driving one day and talking to my partner and asking him if I was being schizophrenic. I actually said, am I schizophrenic? What if I'm a schizophrenic? I assure you you're not. I'm not a doctor, but I assure you, if you're listening to this, I assure you you're not. Okay. Like 99.9999999% of you listening, you're not schizophrenic. Maybe this 0.000001, which is almost nobody listening to this. So point is, yes, you might be hearing voices. You might be hearing instruments. What you're doing is you're actually tapping into other dimensions. And this other dimensional frequency is being registered by you through your own inner, I want to say inner voice. It's like, maybe you hear it as your own voice, but it's not your voice. Or you're confused if this is your voice, who is... That's the kind of thing that you are, that's going through your mind right now. Okay. So this may be feeling a bit of a challenge. You may be challenged with this a little bit, okay? I also want to say, I don't like labels, but I want to say star child, star family. So maybe you consider yourself as a star child, star being, thank you. Star being. You may refer to yourself as a star being. Perhaps other people have referred to yourself as a star being. Perhaps you are questioning if you are a star being. If you've questioned that, I want to say the answer is yes. You are a star being. Even though I, as Joanna, my human mind has doubts with that. Even though I experienced myself as a Pleiadian, the conditioning is real. As real as it gets. So, what I want to say is when we start to experience this other awareness while we are still in a human body, it can get unnerving sometimes. It's because I still sometimes question myself if I'm losing my sanity. Am I insane? In fact, what we're gaining is we're gaining more of our sanity. But the human construct is hard to break, and we don't want to break the entire human construct, only the one that's limiting. So, are you a star child? Pretty much yes. What does that mean? Well, you have connection to stars. You are a star being and have connection to other stars, which means you can communicate with these other star systems. And I feel that's what's happening right now. Okay. And that can be overwhelming for some of you. Okay. You want to make sure that your body is well conditioned. What do I mean by that? When we start to experience all these light codes coming from these higher dimensions, from these other dimensionalities, what we are experiencing is the receiving of higher frequency. And higher frequency essentially means we are being charged with higher energy, a higher voltage. If our body is not strong, and if we have a very weak nervous system. If our body is weak, we're going to go through a bit of a turmoil, because it's going to take some time for the body to get used to holding this energy. So it may wreak havoc a little bit on your emotional and mental and nervous body. Okay. In order to stay strong, in order to receive this energy, it takes practice. Okay. Calming nerves, meditation, taking time for yourself, taking good care of yourself, drinking lots of water, grounding yourself, making sure that you know what you are listening to, and whatever you are listening to, does it feed you in positive or negative ways? What you want to do is you want to basically charge your body with good energy, good food, solid food, okay, whatever that means, to keep your body strong and grounded. If you are, on the other hand, too much in your head, then that energy can and frequently does make you feel very unbalanced. So this is grounding is super, super, super important. As we are being charged with these higher frequency, we want to make sure that our vehicle is grounded. So lots of grounding, okay? You can just imagine a string from the top of your head all the way through your body, all the way through to the center of Mother Earth, just to feel like you're on a string that goes right through you. And imagine just walking around and that string goes right through. That's a grounding. It's effective for me. Okay. You might get headaches. Also, be responsible for your own emotions, not somebody else's emotions. You can say, yes, how can I help you? But always also realize that you can't help them feel a certain way. So this is a message I feel for healers. And that's a hard one, because I, as Joanna, what I do is I help people remember who you are, because I would love for them to feel amazing about who they are and what they experience. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I have no control over that, because I can't make them feel good about themselves. I can only help them understand what's blocking them from it right now, and send healing energy and all that stuff. But I'm not responsible for the outcome. They are. And I feel like this is a message for you. Okay. To be a healer, really, it's not to heal somebody, it's to help them heal, to create an environment where they can begin healing, to do things necessary so that the person can heal. When you go to a doctor and he or she gives you something, that something doesn't heal you. It's a tool to help your body heal. Just like a surgeon does surgery, he or she will cut, make an incision, but the body does the healing. The doctor doesn't do the healing, the body does the healing. So we all know inside how to heal ourselves. We just don't have the tools necessary we just don't necessarily have the tools to be able to reach that state, that healed state. And you are one of these individuals, brave souls individuals, who is choosing to incarnate, being in this vessel in order to help others heal, Please do not take on their emotions, particularly if you are someone who is very sensitive, and that's not easy to do. Okay? I, as Joanna, I would say I'm a fairly sensitive person. Been called too sensitive more than once. It's a double-edged sword, because being too sensitive means I can get easily into a state of anxiety, okay? Because I pick up a lot. But at the same time, when I'm working with a client and they're on the other side of the world, I feel what they feel. I feel before they are aware of what they feel. And that helps me to understand what's going on, so that I can move into that energy and see what it's showing me. So it's a very powerful tool, but it can also feel a bit like heavy at times. So it's hugely important to take care of yourself and make sure that you don't take on other people's feelings and emotions. Okay. This is what you've done in the past. You've taken it on, except you didn't know that you were doing that. Okay. What we're saying here is, no, don't do that anymore. Okay. And that's what I have for you, pile number 3. I also feel you're a very logical person. So this whole waking up thing is going to mess with your head a little bit, because if you're a very logical person, you might have a tendency to question the voices. What are you hearing? Are you going mad? I'm a very logical person too. And that certainly goes through my mind sometimes. So No, you have not lost your mind. You're perfectly fine. That's all I have for you. If you would like, I would love for you to do me a favor and just to click this like button, notification button, comment how this information helps you and supports you. I love what I do, but it also takes courage on my part, and I'm often very resistant to doing these things. So a lot of the things that I talk about is a lot of the things that I have experienced and am currently experiencing as well. Just because I do this work doesn't mean that I don't go through my own emotional ups and downs. Absolutely I do. In fact, I have to go through it in order to understand you, in order so that I can help you, in order so that I can motivate you, in order so that I can help you understand what's going on by understanding myself. And that's my gift to you. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourself, and happy Halloween, happy eclipse, happy day, week, month, whenever you hear this. Bye-bye.